Yo guys, Punkrat with another video. Many of us come from the private server community, so we've become accustomed to our add-ons and interface setups on the 1.12 client. But now that Classic has been moved onto the Legion client, I'm sure many of you guys are a bit lost when it comes to what add-ons will be developed for the new game engine, since many of the old school add-ons that we know have long since been abandoned by their creators. Due to the extreme hype for the resurrection of vanilla, many add-on developers have come out of the woodworks, and many old school add-ons have been picked up by new devs to bring them back into the modern take on vanilla that we're going to experience come late August. If you guys followed the Classic beta on Twitch, you surely noticed that many add-ons had already been ported over. So with that, let's go over some of the best add-ons we know are confirmed ready and working for the release of Classic WoW. Let's get into it. First, we've got RECOUNT, the most widely used damage meter in WoW. If you guys have played on the original 1.12 client, then you're probably already keenly aware that RECOUNT doesn't really exist. Most people use SW stats or other alternatives. SW stats looks pretty cool, but functionality wise, it's pretty limited. The worst part about it is that you can't set it to auto reset after every single fight, and it doesn't log any history like RECOUNT would, where you can check previous encounters. So we're pretty spoiled on this one. We're getting the full RECOUNT, with all of the perks, auto resetting, as well as all of the theory crafting metadata that's collected in the logs, all the charts and everything. I'm pretty happy about this one. It'll definitely help a lot when it comes to analyzing damage in a raid, although I really dislike RECOUNT from an aesthetic perspective. I think it's a pretty ugly add-on looks-wise, so I'll definitely be working on it a little bit so I can customize the skin. This next add-on, again, isn't my favorite looks-wise. It's not super customizable either, but it's an absolute classic, a staple add-on that people thoroughly love. It's also extremely reliable, it just does the job, it's clean, and it works, and requires very little tampering, which is why people like it so much. You download it, and you're good to go with maybe just a little bit of tinkering. It's XPERL, or previously known by the Classic community as XPERL. Everyone has used this add-on, at least at some point, right? It's an entry-level unit frame add-on that pretty much everyone knows about. This one has everything in place. I mean, clean party frames, raid frames, player and target frames. The debuff and buff trackers work pretty much without issue, and everything needs, as I just stated, little to no tinkering to get it working how you would want it in a basic way. My biggest issue, again, is the looks. I like to make my UI with a consistent theme, and XPERL always seems to kind of stick out rather than blend in. But it's not ugly by any stretch of the imagination, it's just not my style. But you can customize it in a way where you sort of black out the frame, and I think it gives it a lot more of a slick look. I also like to make the health bars actually less glossy, so I'll change the texture a little bit. That's generally how I tend to do it. I think it's a lot more digestible that way, which I think enhances this Classic add-on and takes it to that next level. Now this one is new to Classic WoW, so all of you hardcore raider types and PvP legends of course know of power auras, right? It was kind of a thing in vanilla 1.12, I mean not really widespread, but it was quite new in development and it was really bare with little to none of the functionality that we see today. In the modern game we have WEAKAURAS, which is a fully fleshed out aura tracking tool with deep customization. WEAKAURAS has been ported over to Classic WoW. It's probably the biggest addition to the Classic WoW add-on world that we've seen so far. This will allow people who take raiding seriously to have way more intricate raiding interface setups, which will in fact allow for better performance in raid. Some people won't like that notion, since a lot of this stuff is what trivialized the raiding experience over the lineage of World of Warcraft. In fact, I personally also rejected DBM for years, even in hardcore guilds over many expansions. People thought that I was crazy. I just liked feeling a raiding counter rather than following timers and icons. And honestly, I was never the one messing up and wiping the raid anyhow. But yeah, I mean, this is to be expected. Classic WoW is a 14-year-old game, and it's gonna be farmed real fast considering all of the knowledge and advanced add-ons that we have today. You can't really avoid that fact, so WEAKAURAS for tracking buffs and other power-ups and mechanics is now a basic Classic WoW add-on. I'm gonna cover this one really quickly because it's simple and doesn't need much explanation. This add-on is called Vendor Price, and it does exactly what it's titled. It's just an addition to item tooltips adding the associated vendor price below. This is great for people who are into mob grinding farms, since it'll give you a visualization of how much gold you're grinding with your vendor trash. Also gives you an idea of whether an item is worth vendoring or disenchanting, depending on whether the mats that you get are worth more than the vendor gold that you'd receive. Simple add-on, very useful, everyone should get it. So this next one is a massive increase to your standard of living in Classic WoW. So if you guys don't already know, many of the luxuries that you take for granted in the modern interface were not necessarily a part of the base setup back in the original game. This includes something which is so crucial to both PvE and PvP. It's debuff timers. On the original 1.12 client, as a warlock for example, you could cast a full row of your dots on the enemy, and of course you would see the debuff icons, but you wouldn't see the timer. So you wouldn't see how much time is left on your dots that are ticking. So you would have to estimate that time and reapply based on your hunch. Unless you had Nature's Enemy CLASSICAURADURATIONS, which was an add-on that would track on a little bar that would sort of count down. And later on there was some other add-ons that visualized it in a different way that were added, but for Classic, there's already a really nice one that's already been developed called CLASSICAURADURATIONS, which tracks your debuff timers under the enemy unit frame, which is what I'm sure most of you guys are already used to at this point. So a really awesome add-on, and again, everyone should get this so they can time their abilities accurately. This next add-on is in the same line as CLASSICAURADURATIONS. It's once again a massive increase to your standard of living in pretty much the exact same way. So I just mentioned that in 1.12 you can't see debuff timers. Well, surprisingly enough, you couldn't see enemy cast bars either without an add-on to do that for you. Seems pretty surprising, eh? But yeah, in vanilla you couldn't see what your enemy was casting. So without an add-on, you'd actually have to notice that their hands would start glowing up with the cast animation and see the actual animation go through. Notice if it's an arcane spell that's being casted by a mage with the little white glow on the hands, and then interrupt knowing that it's a polymorph. Same with Razorgore. When I was raid leading back in the Phoenix days, I knew most of my members wouldn't have enemy cast bars, so when I was making a guide for the Razorgore attempts that we were going into the next week, the first boss in Blackwing Lair, of course, if you guys don't know who Razorgore is, I made this little picture to show when Razorgore's hands are glowing red, he's casting Fireball Volley, and that's when you need to hide, so that was the visual cue that people were using. But fear not, there's been an enemy casting bar add-on created for Classic WoW already, and it's called ClassicCastBar. So yeah, pretty simple, but this is something you absolutely need to get. Otherwise, you'll be playing a guessing game and relying on your visual reaction time in respect to the actual cast animation. ClassicCastBar, boys, huge priority. Now this next one, I don't really need to explain much. You guys pretty much all know what it is, I'm sure. It's called Deadly Boss Mods. This is the vanilla equivalent to Bigwigs. It's got timers and warnings for each raid encounter in the game when you're going through all the different mechanics and phases, telling you where to go and how to play, basically. I mean, just don't stand in fire, noob. With Deadly Boss Mods, if you still die in fire, there might be something wrong with you. So yeah, DBM's been transferred to the Classic WoW engine, so a lot of you PvE heroes are surely going to be happy about this one, you know, that it's been done with such haste. But you guys get it, let's move on. This one I'm going to cover super fast again. It's called One Bag. It's an add-on that merges your total inventory space across all of your bags into one seemingly massive bag. I personally don't care much for this add-on specifically because I'm going to be playing Hunter this time around in Classic, and I like to isolate my bags, especially for my quiver that holds all of my ammo. But I know many of you guys love this add-on, and I've also, used it in the past when playing different classes. It's just clean. Their slogan is one bag to rule them all. I mean, you guys get it. It's a mega bag. Cool add-on, and I'd suggest getting it if you're OCD. Now this one is super important. In Classic WoW, most melee classes and hunters, if you were to analyze their damage breakup from the log analytics, you'd notice that 50 to 60% of their damage comes from auto attacks, the white hits. And some hunters, 100% of their damage comes from white hits. So this add-on is super crucial, especially for micro control against monsters out in the world. This add-on is called Weapon Swing Timer, and it's a nice visual auto attack timing tracker that allows you to coordinate your gameplay with your swing timer. So if you want to peel out, then come back in for an auto right as your auto timer is about to trigger, this add-on works wonders. And yes, I know a lot of people complaining about hamstring kiting, not working like it does on private servers. People would say maybe you don't need this on a warrior, but I mean for timing your slam and other things, if you want to go slam spec, and just in general, knowing when your next auto attack is going to trigger is pretty important. And the hunter rotation specifically revolves around timing your aim shot and your other shots within your ranged auto attack, so weaving your autos, so to speak. This add-on allows you to do that very smoothly. It's great, and I love the way this one specifically looks. So this next add-on is for my Wolves of Trade District, the stockbrokers of WoW. Those of you guys who love analyzing markets and playing the auction house. In vanilla, there was an add-on called Auctioneer. But in Classic, we have a new addition to the add-on world in Auctionator. Pretty simple here, guys. I mean, it's just a basic auction house add-on that allows you to see average prices, scan with certain filters, and all of the good stuff that you'd expect with this kind of add-on. My goblin friends are going to be very happy, and as you should, it's pretty good stuff. Now for my day laborer friends out there, the men who get their hands dirty out in the quote-unquote real world Kappa, breaking their backs gathering nodes so they can feed their families, we've got you covered also. Gatherer has been ported over to Classic WoW. Your favorite node tracking add-on is gonna be available. So if you don't know, Gatherer is an add-on that tracks nodes that you've collected, as well as also nodes that guildmates may have collected if they have the add-on as well. So you can build a visual representation on your map of where the resources that you're looking for spawn across the Azerothian globe. Very useful tool, and I'll be getting this one as soon as possible. So I kept these for last because I know people will get their panties in a bunch in relation to these. Many people rage when you mention downloading these add-ons since they feel it diminishes the immersive experience of the game. So a little disclaimer here, if you're easily triggered by people playing the game differently than you might want to just tune out. But in all seriousness, many of you guys have been playing Classic WoW for like 8 years now. You know, we've done it all, so this stuff isn't a big deal, it just makes our lives easier. First one is Atlas World Map. It's an add-on that gives you a fancy looking map and bypasses the need to actually discover different zones in order to unlock the different portions of the map. So instead of entering a zone blind, not knowing where the camps are, this will already have a full map superimposed over the default one, allowing you to see the whole landscape before discovering the whole area. It's kind of cheating, I guess. I don't think I'm personally going to download this one, but many of you guys I know will jump right at it. I know that for sure. And the other one, of course, you guys guessed it, it's Questy, or the new addition that we've seen, Monkey Quest. So there's 2 quest tracking and guiding add-ons that have been worked out for the Classic release. If you guys are planning on speed leveling, not reading quest text at all, and having an in-game resource that tells you where everything is, well, here it is. Download Questy or Monkey Quest and it'll hold your hand to the finish line, boys. Many people dislike this add-on, as you can see the 3-star rating, but it also has the most downloads by far out of all of the add-ons on the list. So it goes both ways really. Some people really hate it, and some people hate to live without it. Pick a side. I'm not sure exactly where I stand on quest helper add-ons for my first time back. I might not, who knows, we'll see. But keep in mind, Questy is still in beta. It mostly works, but there's probably going to be some issues at some point, especially in the untested areas above level 40, since the beta level cap was 40. And a little honorable mention here at the end, but this add-on is not ready yet. They're still working on it, but my favorite vanilla unit frame add-on is currently being worked on for Classic. It's called LUNAUNITFRAMES. It's the one that you guys always ask me about in the comment section when I play with my basic UI that I set up on one of the servers that I play on. It's really clean, customizable, has spell click casting built in with healing, so just so you guys know, it's called LUNAUNITFRAMES. It's not ready just yet, but they're currently working on it. They've confirmed that, so there you go. Okay guys, that's it for this one. These are the 15 best add-ons that I could find which were confirmed ready for the release of Classic WoW. People for months have been asking me to make an add-on video for Classic, but I've purposely held back from doing so because I wanted to wait till many add-ons were confirmed working in the new game engine before I touched anything. So many old add-ons are not going to be really relevant anymore. They're going to be long gone unless the old devs come back and revitalize them, or if new people pick up the torch and resurrect them from obscurity. But fear not, with due time, every add-on you dream of will be brought back to life. That I know for sure. I'm looking at you, Lazy Pig. I mean, can somebody get on that pronto? I need Lazy Pig by the time Zul'Gurub comes around. My vanilla veterans know exactly what I'm talking about here. Alright guys, if you guys enjoyed this one and want to see more content like this, please support my channel with a like, comment, subscribe. Hitting the notification bell helps a lot too. You know the drill, soldiers. Follow me on Twitch for the release of Classic. I'm going to be streaming there. Join my Discord if you can handle, some pretty spicy banter. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.